Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Hillcrest at Home series, tennis edition, on a beautiful Wednesday. So we'll get started. On Monday, we discussed the things that are in your tennis bag. We talked all about a little bit about nutrition, all about the essential things that should be in your tennis bag. And so today we're going to break down one of the essential parts of the game. It's the shot. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the 5 components of the shot. We've discussed this a little bit in the past, but today we're really going to break it down, and we're going to be covering those important components that make up a shot, and and the importance of linking those shots together so that we can become more consistent and to have a successful tennis game. So first of all, we're going to talk about the first component, which is the split step. So the split step really is that pay attention, ready position. It is the key to linking your shots together. If you're not split stepping, if you're not in ready position, that's going to make life a lot more difficult. Okay, so that split step, it's really just, it's the pay attention, it's ready. Here, you're kind of light on your toes, slightly bent. You're not trying to, you don't have to split and stop, but it's really just kind of that light bounce, and you're really in that position, ready to pounce, ready to move in the direction in which the ball is going to be hit. So along with the split step, you're seeing the ball off of your opponent's racket. So as you're split stepping, it's a split, and you're seeing the ball, and you're seeing it as they make contact. Okay, so you're seeing the ball off of their racket, and then you're going to be tracking that ball across the net. And that's why the split step is so important, because if you're not splitting, then you're not tracking that ball, and you're not going to be ready to move into position to the ball. That split step, a lot of people they kind of split, and then they kind of land, and they land right on the back of their feet. No, the split is just that you land lightly, on your toes. We would always say, imagine that there's some tennis balls hooked on, attached to the bottom of your heel, and so that you're kind of lifted up, and you're kind of flexing those calves a little bit, and you're up, leaning forward, and you're ready, and you're like a panther looking to pounce on any opportunity to be moving. So that's number one, foremost, the most important thing. If we're not split stepping and we're stationary, now the big thing is if you're flat footed, now you can, especially if you're at the net, you can get pushed back. You get caught on your back foot, or you're not seeing that ball proactively. And so that's the big key, is to prepare and to be proactive in how you're approaching the ball that's coming over onto your side of the net. Okay, so we've talked about the split step. We've talked a little bit about seeing the ball. Really, seeing the ball happens, and you track that ball, and it happens, so you track it to your racket. Okay, so tracking it all the way to your contact and seeing it through the ball. If we tend to peek, especially at the net. We tend to look to where you're going to be hitting the ball. You already know. You've already predetermined if you're hitting a forehand or a backhand or volley. So now you know where you're going to hit it. So now you just have to track the ball all the way to your contact point. Track it to your racket. So that's the key. So seeing that ball as your opponent is hitting it, and that will help you prepare earlier. That's the big key, is the preparation before the ball bounces on your side of the net. Typically, people will see the ball as it's bouncing on their side. That's way too late. We need to see the ball as it's, typically I try and see the ball as it's bouncing on their side, and then I'm tracking it. Because if I'm seeing it that early, now I can anticipate what my opponent's going to be doing. If I'm seeing the ball as it's bouncing on my side of the court, now I'm just reacting. Okay, so just thinking about how you can prepare early. Early preparation is the key to success. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the turn, and the turn is super important, because if you're square onto that ball, okay, now there's no rotation, and you haven't gathered any sort of momentum or what we call load to unload. Okay, so the turn really, especially when you're on that baseline, the turn really is going to it's really going to help you get that weight transfer. So if you think about if you're golfing, or if you're playing baseball or softball, it's all the kinetic chain. So the turn starts first with your head. But if your head is here, now it's more difficult to turn. So it starts with your head, and then it goes with your shoulders, your hips, your feet. Okay, and then as you go to then you run to go and move, and then when you come back, or as you go to hit the ball, then the kinetic chain then reverses. Okay, but really that turn is super important, because it's going to help define your relationship with the ball. What is your relationship in regards to, are you too close? Are you going to overrun it? Are you too far away? Do you have to take that step forward? So the turn really helps you define your spacing. Okay, because you always want to think about it as if you're giving somebody a pat on the back. So your arm is slightly bent, and see how my belly button rotates and my arm follows. It's not my arm coming through this way. It's my belly button, and then my arm follows this way. Same thing on the backhand. Here, my arm follows. And so the tendency is for people to rotate too soon, and then now they all they can do is flick the arm this way. So really that turn really is important. And just remember, where the ball bounces defines your contact. So then the trick is to find where it's going to land. And that's why it's important to track the ball. So find where it's going to land, and then now you're going to space it. So for example, if the ball lands here, my job is to make sure that I give myself space and time so that I'm making contact. So from a side view, it's going to look something like this. And see how I'm patting somebody on the back? My contact is here. And notice how I'm rotating, and my arm follows my belly button. Okay? So the ball defines where you're going to be making contact, and the trick is for you to move into that position. So moving into position is the key. And so you turn, and then you move to contact. All right. Growing up, we would always say, beat the ball to the spot. Okay, so you don't want to arrive at the same time. You have to be to the spot before the ball bounces so that you can prepare, because there's all sorts of elements going on, especially if you're outside. There's the spin, the pace, wind, all sorts of things. So you really have to, your goal is to beat the ball to the spot and to be in position before it bounces. Okay, so so for example, so we're splitting, we're turning. Well, we split, see the ball, and it's going to determine which way we're going to go, forehand or backhand. And then you're going to turn, and then you're going to move to contact. Okay, and then now the movement or the position in which you hit the ball. Okay, and you're gonna, the position is developing the relationship with the ball, and as you're positioning, you're going to be going to hit. So going back to this example, it's okay, so that defines my contact. Okay, so that defines my contact, and now I have to move, load. So see how I load on my outside leg, because that measurement is going to help me with my distance. So you're going to load and then to unload as you hit. So see how we weight transfer, and that momentum shifts from back leg to front leg. And that's going to really help you give more pace and spin on the ball. If you can be in position to hit the ball on time with the correct space, now your options are endless. Okay, so that's really your goal, is to be in position to weight transfer, hit, and that weight transfer is as you are hitting the ball. Back in the old days, it used to be, you get there, you stop, and then you hit. Well, now we've really got to, with the pace of the ball, with the spin and the rackets now, you're really using your body as you hit. So it eliminates that arm motion, and it's not with your hand, it's with your body. Okay. One exception to this would be, if you're at the net and it's a reflex volley, really it's, if they hit that ball hard at you, really you don't have that time to turn. So when you're in your frenzy, or when it's in your body box, okay, it's just kind of with your hand, and your first motion is to make sure that the racket is up, and then your hand is kind of lays back just slightly. That would be the only exception, just because you don't have that time to do the turn and then the step. So really think about, but this is key, is making sure that you've split stepped so that you can do this. If you have it and you're stuck flat-footed, now you're going to be caught off balance, and even if you get the ball back, you're not going to be effective. So okay, so hitting, really, when you get into position to hit, so now we've talked about that weight transfer. Okay, so really being in position to hit that ball on time with the correct space. So space and time is what we're ideally what we're looking for. Okay, and we can also call this the flow in which you hit the ball. So flowing to be into position, so you kind of flow, and then come back into position. So it's really getting out to the ball, hit, and then recover. And so that recovery step is going to be super important, and I think is really neglected in the whole sequence of the shot, because that recovery links with the next split step. So if you think about it, so if I'm going to go out and hit this ball, I have to hit, boom, and then my recovery is this coming back and to split. Because especially when the ball is coming back, at a faster rate, you're going to hit, and you have to quickly recover back into position so that based on where you hit the ball. Okay. And that recovery step is linked with that next split step. So if you think of it in order, it's going to go split, turn, move, hit, recover, split, turn, move, hit, recover. So then you link, and the more you can link your shots together, now we go back to that whole statistics spiel that we talked about. And if we can link 4 shots together, our percentage of winning the point goes up 91%. So, if we can have that effective split step, which is going to start us off on the correct foot. Okay, so it starts us off so that we can see the ball early, prepare, and then you're going to turn, move into position, hit, and then recover. But I think the big thing that I want you to get out of this is your space and the time in which you hit the ball. If you are not on time with your contact, if you're not on time with where you're making contact, if you're too early or you're too late, now you're going to be ineffective with your shot selection, with your consistency. So it all links together. This all connects. It's all one big circle. And it's super important that we establish this strong base of fundamentals, is because if we can't link these together, it's going to be very difficult to win points. It's going to be difficult to be a successful doubles partner, because number one, your job as your doubles partner is to set your partner up for success. And if we can't do that, now we're in some serious trouble. So establishing the strong base of fundamentals, that especially that split step and that recovery, super important for us to really highlight that when you're practicing and focus on those things, because that will help your ability to be on time and in position to hit the correct shot. Okay, so I think one thing that we can also talk about here is when you're trying to anticipate what your opponent is going to be doing, especially when you're at the net here. Okay, if you're at the net here and your partner is serving over here, and so you have the person returning and you're the person at the net, one thing to think about, especially as you are getting ready and you're wanting to coach, or it's a second serve and they've been burning you down the line, one thing to think about is the shoulders of your opponent are going to kind of tell you where the ball is going to go. So, if I'm going down the line, I'm going to keep my shoulders turned slightly longer. Okay. If I'm going cross court, I'm going to rotate a little bit sooner. So that really, if you can watch your opponent a little bit more and watch their shoulder turn, their shoulders are going to tell you where the ball is going to go. So that will help your reaction time, especially when you're at the net. Really going to help, just help you give that slightly extra time so that you can anticipate. But again, going back to that split step, making sure that you're split stepping and seeing the ball off of their racket will also help that reaction time, and help you move accordingly. Because sometimes it's like, man, I couldn't even tell where they were going. It's like, no, they will always tell you in which direction they're going to go. Especially the recreational players, they're not able to disguise nearly as much as some of the pro college level players. They're going to be able to disguise it a little bit more, but really see where their shoulders are turned. How do they line up to the ball? If they're late to the ball, especially, or it's wide, it's probably going to be short to the middle and maybe down the line, but it's going to be a floater. So, if they're running up to the ball and they're bent over and they're stretching for that ball, it's going to be a shorter ball. So you have to move in and take advantage of that. So really reading what your opponent is doing, and that just goes back to the whole talk about seeing that ball and being in position to hit that next shot. Okay, so then we're going to give you a little bonus tip or pattern of play. I'm going to shift this video over just slightly here so you can kind of see the whole court. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about a passing shot pattern of play. Okay, so specifically this specifically applies for singles, but it can definitely be applied for doubles, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So we're talking about passing shots. Okay, so if your opponent hits an approach shot, so they're hitting and coming in, all right, so and you're back here and they hit to your backhand side. Now typically our instinct is to hit the winner and try and hit a winner. Okay, statistically speaking, one shot pattern of play is 20. You can win the point 27% of the time with one shot. But if you think about it as a 2-shot pattern, you're statistically speaking, it goes up to 65%. Okay, so if we can if we can have that mentality of let's hit one more shot, okay, our percentage goes up to 65% on that 2-shot pattern. Okay, so if your opponent hits the approach shot and you're on the run to your backhand side, now if depending on where your opponent is standing, if they hit from their backhand side to your backhand, so that's a cross-court shot. Okay, now if they come from over here, what's open? It's that down the line. Okay, so down the line is a stinger, cross-court is a dipper. Okay, so think about it. When you go to hit your shot, it's not going to be a winner. Okay, if it is, congratulations, that's even a bonus. Okay, but think about it as hitting to the spot and then setting yourself up for the winner. Okay, so if they hit a cross court approach shot, you're going to hit a stinger down the line. Okay, and then even if they get over to it, it's going to be short, and then you can take that down. Then you can hit that shot down the line. Okay, now if you choose to go back cross court, it's going to make it dip at their feet, so then they have to hit up, and then you can hit to the open court. Okay, so I think the little sayings we can say is down the line stinger, cross court loop, cross court dipper. Okay, and if you choose to go to do a lob, which is not a bad option, make sure that it's lobbed to their backhand side, because it's a lot more difficult to hit a backhand shot here versus this overhead here. Okay, and so anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope this was helpful. Again, please shoot me an email, a text if you have any questions. I am more than happy to help. Come out and play this weekend. It's going to be beautiful, to get some vitamin D, play some tennis, get some exercise, and have a wonderful Wednesday. Enjoy the weather, and we'll hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.